side of the installation and came in the main entrance. This one time, we drove up and one of the hangar doors was open. In the hangar doors, as plain as day, or in the hangar door, as plain as day, was the craft that I had later labeled the sport model. A very sleek-looking, very stereotypical flying saucer. My immediate reaction was, this is the new generation fighter that we're working on.
You hear that, Dad?
Yeah. It's saucer-shaped, but
it's the first time he saw one of the craft over at Air
this
51.
explains all the UFO sightings throughout.
Alright, Mr. Gatekeeper here. Let me explain the situation we got going on here. Alright. This was not built by me. This was built by a buddy of mine that I've been helping for the last 2-3 years or so. Been training them, helping them along in the building scene. And basically he built, as you can see, a 6 transistor amp, ported style, the design I use. And he had an issue with getting it working. And he kind of was stumped, you know, and this is only the second time that he's ever been pretty much stumped since we've been doing this all these years. So I honestly couldn't see when the pictures he sent me why it wasn't working. I mean, everything looked great. And he shipped it to me. And even with me looking at it at first, I couldn't see why it was. I mean, he was so frustrated. He actually shipped this to me without even putting the fans on the cabinet. As you can see, I put the fans on the cabinet with them real nice Pride electronic fan boards. I really like them. Makes things a lot easier. I can just grab a board, mount it to the cabinet, and put my filter caps on there I like to use just to make sure there's no noise or anything entering the fans that's going to alter the way they're spinning, especially RF. And so I went ahead and threw the fans on there for him. Other than that, I didn't have to do anything else other than get the box working. That I did. And come to find out, let me explain what the issue was. Well, there's one more little, there's a few tiny things I did just to make sure that there was no ground loops. This is the AC ground for the units, and then that grounds straight to the case. As you can see, the AC ground comes in and goes straight to the case. These are all connected AC wise, but they weren't grounded to the case. Well, they're technically grounded to the case by this being connected to the case, but other than that, they was not. They weren't. So just to be safe, I ran a continued the snake fashion onto the case for the AC ground for these 30 amp units. So here was the issue. He was just trying to be neat. Each wire coming out of the each of these windings in these input transformers and output transformers, on the inputs here, every wire is the same identical length. Okay. And the way he was kind of helping with placing the wire, I noticed it on 2 of them on the grounds. He made the grounds a little longer. I personally probably wouldn't go that route, although it worked, it's working. I would just deal with the length on the output winding side going to the splitter. But basically, if you look on the output of the splitter here, the way he did it, just trying to be neat, he come in, for example, through this first port, straight to the port down and soldered to the same port right here. Went through the middle, soldered down to the same port. The out, down to the same port. Now, if you look at it by common sense, just using common sense, that wouldn't change anything than the way it is now, would it? As you can see, this wire coming in on the very far end right here, which I believe the very far end wire is this input transformer right here. It comes in through this back port and then loops around and solders right here to at this port. Okay. Then the middle which is the transformer right here, the middle transformer, goes through the center port, and then it wraps. Where does it go? Let me see. I can't quite see over here because I didn't have a lot of length in the wire. I had to solder on the top. Okay, I see. It comes in right here and wraps and solders to this last port, okay? And then the last transformer comes in this port, wraps around and solders to the center port. Now, why do we have to do it like this and not the way it was he originally did it, going straight through? Let me explain. This is a splitter, okay? It's also a combiner if you think about it, and the fact that these three connections are combined. Then we're sending a signal, a single 50 ohm signal, to split that into three. The problem though, if this goes through this port and solders to the same port, that means the RF is now traveling back to the same port, and you're going to have parasitic oscillation that way. It doesn't break it up to where there's enough decibels of separation from each port. It's called isolation when you're dealing with this type of stuff. It doesn't isolate properly when it's done that way. It's the same way if I took a 4 transistor amplifier, okay, and I took both wires coming from both of the output or input transformers and sent both wires up through the bead the same direction. If I sent them up through the bead the same direction, then wrapped around the bead the same direction, they're going to null each other out and cancel each other out because there's no isolation, because you're using a one port to combine two, and there's no isolation, and the box will not put out watts because they will cancel each other out. You see this? You see that this can be even done with antennas, placing antennas. We won't get into all that though. So that was simply the problem, which I will admit I made a lot of problems when I first started building, trying to make things look good, when show don't go is what my old mentor Stickman used to say. Show don't go. And basically what he meant by, if you make it look pretty but it ain't done right, it ain't gonna go nowhere. Show don't go. Make it work right, and if you want to, try to make it look pretty done right. So that's what I had to do. And if you notice right here in the back, I had a little bit more wire to play with because it was so close to the output transformers, and I was able to solder them on the bottom part of the pad instead of having to do it up on the transformers. Other than that, the way it got here to me, as you've seen earlier in the video, is all the transistor was out, because he was stumped. He was like, he didn't know if something was wrong with one of the transistors, so he removed them. I double checked them on my Atlas over here. They're all good. Only other thing I did is these wires right here were laying up against the heat sink, which ain't a problem. These wires that he used right here cannot be melted by any heat that this thing can build up. You can take a soldering iron and just lay it on this wire. It's not silicone wire, but it's another type of wire. I can't tell you exactly what type of wire it is, but it's another type of wire that my buddy that built this box, I'm not going to say any names, that he has a lot of different gauges of, and he literally has there's not a piece, the only piece of Teflon wire in this box is the Teflon I use right here, and the Teflon he used right here, and then the coax. That's it. Everything else is not Teflon wire. It is a type of wire that can handle heat just as well as Teflon. It's not going to melt. It's a little bit thicker. It's a type of wire that's used in automobiles where wire needs to be up against heat. There's all kinds of types of wire out there that's high temp wire other than Teflon. I think the reason why we gear towards Teflon more is it's the only wire out there that can have a high temperature rating and still have a thin coating on it. And I think that's why it's very, very popular for what we use it for. You can fit more of the wire in places and stuff like that. But so there's absolutely nothing wrong. Every bit of wire he's using here is this type of wire. You can take an iron and just sit it on this wire right here for 24 hours, and it will not melt through. Will not melt through. He was nice enough to hook me up with a little bit of it. I haven't used it yet, but it'd be great wire to use wiring up an AC box and you know, like he's got done right here. And if you take a look, he did something kind of unique I've never really seen before, but he created his buses for these 30 amp supplies just right here in the case. And this bus right here, he's got it isolated with the insulator from the case, and that right there just goes straight to the case for the ground. I mean, doing it this way with this many, yeah, it's a lot of wires right there, but I mean, that's the way he did it. And you know, he spliced off the 2 single H right here, and it works. So anyway, this thing's working. I hooked the preamp up. It was unhooked because he was trying to work on that. And once I got everything tuned in, I put a piece of high temp tape right here for you to hold this, because this right here is real loose, man. It would move really easy. So I went ahead and put some high temp tape right there. I forget what that tape is called. I've seen BBI use it before. I can't right off hand remember what it's called, but you'll see they'll use this type of tape in transformers. They'll use it in the aerospace sector as well. So everything, man, this thing's set up for 110. I want to look at a couple of things while we're running this box. I want to see what this thing's pulling on AC, just for the heck of it. We're going to see what it's pulling on DC. The fella that's been waiting on this box for a little while now, he's not going to be running this box to the max whatsoever. He basically was just looking for 1,000 watts out of a 6-pill. Basically run a 6-pill like a 4, let it last. So basically 1,000 watts about all he's looking for, which is, I mean, that's an awesome way to run amplifiers, man. They will last that way. They will sound better that way on the air when they're not being overdriven. But we're going to see what this thing can do. We're going to drive a 1 transistor amp into it, because I told him I will let him know on video kind of what it will be doing with a 1 transistor amp. These power supplies are set back, okay? They're not sitting on 15 volts. They're set back around 13 or so volts for a reason. This box right here is not built to be a big mall box. You know, this is information being relayed to me from the builder. This box was designed to be a box to last. That's why it's being ran on lower voltage, to help the HGs last as long as they possibly can. And hey, man, I don't see nothing wrong with that at all. You build a box and gear it towards the user of what he wants. And some people out there are smart enough to know, hey, I don't want a big mall box that's only going to last me a couple of months before the transistor starts giving up the ghost. I want a box that's going to last a while. And that's one way to do it. Lesser drive, a little bit less voltage. All right, so let me go ahead and get the 10 put on here and hook up a driver, and let's rock and roll. Alrighty, I almost forgot I can't have the 10 on if we're going to look at some amperage. This thing says it's pulling a 1.4 amps with both the fans. Seems a little high, but you know, it is what it is. Alright, we're just going to see what it's doing without the driver. I just got a my epoxy 1-pill, the old trusty epoxy 1-pill hooked up. First amp I ever built. So this is just hitting my 3-watt, about 18-watt PEP radio into the 6-pill by itself. That's a 1,000-watt slug PEP. Okay, let me get this thing almost 400 watts. That's crazy, just flowing through this box, man. It loses 100 watts. That's crazy, because it does about close to 500 when you're going straight into the box. That's just the cable links. I honestly, I've got cables mixed here too. That's not all phased right, so ain't no big deal. But that's what we're seeing just with the box by itself. All right, I'm gonna turn the box off, 6-pill off, and you can see what the 1-pill is doing. by itself, which should be doing right about 100 watts. This is a 1,000 watt scale. Looking at the bottom, each line's 10 watts. Go right there to 100. See that? Oh yeah. All right. So let's see what this thing's going to do, y'all. With the one pill hitting it, let's try it all the way down. Oh yeah, about 500 watts all the way down. Let's see here. Turn it up about halfway. Oh, yeah. It's about 700, 750. Oh, yeah, about 750. Full blast, 100 watts PEP drive. Go right there, about 800 watts. This thing will last forever like that. Oh, hey, what we do is just let this mud plug. Go down, go down, go down, go down. All right. Let's see how much amperage. Ooh, 41 amps. That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. And of course, this box can take a lot more drive. So, but that is what we're seeing, just with my small single final bench radio, is we are seeing 800 watts PEP. So let's go to the next radio before we even change drivers. I may not even change drivers. Like I said, all this guy's wanting is 1,000 watts out of this box. You know, it's always cool to see what a box would do, of course. Nah, that thing's got an auto cutoff. So let's switch radios. Alright, we got my Stickman cover 29, so we're going to get a little bit more peak watts now. It's doing a little bit more peak watts than my regular radio's doing. It should be doing a little bit half more. So this is how much the driver is going to be doing. The 12879 Toshiba driver with the Stickman, 100 watts, 100 watt slug. Everything's still the same. I noticed I didn't show the RMS last time. It was doing like 300-400 birds somewhere around there. Ooh, so you see we're peaking about 50 watts. We're getting about 50 more watts. So that thing's driving this one pill hard to get 150 watts out of it. So, all right, that's about 40 bird. Ooh, close to 40 bird. All right. Turn the 6 pill back on. Now, let's see if we can't get a KW out of it. If it ain't going to be a KW, it should be close. I know my batteries are probably a little low on this, on my peak kit. I'll let them on again over a day or two, but we'll see. This is a 150 watt PEP drive into the 6 pill. Ooh, dang, didn't get no more output out of it, did I? Well, one thing you got to understand too is, like I said, these supplies are not cranked up on their volts whatsoever. If the guy really wanted to get more output out of the box, he could take his screwdriver in here and just turn all these up, but the best way to do it would be to separate it. But I honestly think it's because of my batteries, because that right there should be doing about a KW now. I may even stop the video and change my batteries out. My peak kit is the weirdest thing. Once the batteries gets low, one or two things happen. The needle will not go all the way to the right. I know it's weird. Or the needle won't move at all if it's completely dead. And what's weird about that is the RMS part of the meter won't work either. I didn't look and see how much more RMS. Ooh, about 400. How much what was it, about 41 amps last time. Ooh. So yeah, that's not driving it that much harder. Alright. So we are going to, I think we may go ahead and hook up the, I do have another radio I can hook up, but I don't really see any reason to do it. So let me get back. I'm either going to hook up a bigger radio or a 2-pill driver. Alright, this is my derail radio, and you're about to see we're not going to get no more peak out of it at this point, but we'll get more RMS. See? Just a hair over. Hair over. Alright. Let's try a new driver, y'all. And I forgot to show the amperage. About 47, 48. And I have no idea how accurate that is either. I really don't know. This is a kind of a cheap meter. I need to get me a little bit better one. Alright, I got two 1446s hooked up. Alright, this is going to give us a lot more peak watts. Pika watts, pika. Oh, wow. Man, that thing's smoking, ain't it? Good God almighty. This is an old box too. It's biased. That's why it's doing a little bit more output with less drive. Oh, so that's about 260. About 260. Ooh, 900 watts. It should be doing a kW. My goddamn battery's about dead. Oh, 400, yeah. Let's see how much it's pulling now. Ooh, wow. It ain't pulling a lot, it says. So I don't know, man, if that, like I said, I don't know if this is 100% accurate, y'all. I really don't. It doesn't seem like it is. I don't know if I just need to have it in between each individual wire. Let's see something. I'm just gonna put on one wire. Ooh, 24. I guess that is right. Let's see. It's the next wire. Ooh. Yeah, one wire's pulling more than the other. It says the supplies ain't 100%. They're not 100% balanced, but it is what it is. Ooh. Maybe 50. Alright, man. Give me 1 second. Alright, brother. Yeah, it's 100%. My batteries are dead. It's doing way over a kW. I got the Stickman radio hooked up now into the 21446. Look at the 64, 65. This needle is going all the way to like 950 and it won't go no more. Look at your RMS. Come on. Come on. Yeah, I think you can see. I don't know why it's not. Go over 600. Go almost 7. So yeah. Like I said, it's not going to be a lot of output. It ain't going to be big output because the supplies voltage are turned down. If this was a regular mall box 6-pill, like something that I probably would build unless somebody asked for something like this, we'd be seeing 1,000 bird right now, easy. about 1500 to 1800 watts all day long. So this thing's working for you, brother. Like I said, it's not going to be a big watt box because it wasn't designed that way. I'm proud of my buddy. He's coming along real well. And we're going to get this 10 put here on here for you, man. And sorry, I need to make sure my batteries are charged. See, I don't use regular 9-volt batteries. I'll show you what I use. I use these, and they don't have a lot of capacity whatsoever. These are 600 milliamp an hour. That's not a lot of capacity. The only problem though with using these is if I leave my dang switch on like I am notorious at doing overnight, that's about enough to kill the dang battery, or at least a night or two. And that's what I did. I left it on, like I came here this morning and noticed it was on. I was like, oh my God, why can't you remember to turn that off, Gatekeeper? And that's what I have to deal with. So and I need to hurry up and get this out, man, because I got a lot of work to do. I'd wait and charge up the batteries, but you know, I got to unhook all this right here. I got to take the back off. I got to pull the batteries out. I'm about to go eat, man. We're putting our Christmas tree up today. So it's working for you, man. Glad to be able to help my buddy get this working. And just need to get shipping money and get it out to you. So I'll give him a holler and get all that worked out. Old Gatekeeper out here, just trying to help out a buddy, to help out another guy. God bless everybody. Hope everybody have a great Christmas. If you get to see this video before Christmas comes out, before Christmas hits, 73, y'all. Bye-bye.